This is a standard DJ controller. Nothing special here. Pair of headphones plugged into the front of it. My normal speakers plugged into the back of it. Here's the USB cable going off to the laptop. But that's where things start to get interesting, because that laptop is not running Windows or Mac OS. It's running open source software, an open source operating system, a Linux operating system, which is free. And that software that you see running on that laptop is not Serato or Recordbox or Virtual DJ or DJ Pro or Tractor or any of the other paid for DJ apps. It's actually called Mixxx, M-I-X-X-X. And that's open source and free as well. So what we're looking at here is quite revolutionary, really, although it's been around for a long time. It is completely free to you, DJ software, running on an operating system which is completely free to you, and using the gear that you've already got. Does it sound too good to be true? Well, in some ways it is, and we're going to be honest about that here. But in other ways, it's just the solution that a lot of DJs are increasingly looking towards, because nowadays no one thinks technology is the solution to all of our problems anymore. We've seen too many problems caused by technology and by all the things which we were told were going to make our lives easier. DJing has moved forward in leaps and bounds because of software, because of developments in computers and in the stuff we can do, like stems and looping and key shifting and effects built into everything, and the prices come crashing down as music has gone digital and all that good stuff. But along the way, something's been lost, and some people are really starting to feel that. Because shouldn't DJing be like picking up a guitar or playing the drums or playing the piano or playing a saxophone or just expressing yourself musically in the way you choose, without subscriptions, your hardware suddenly stopping working, coming to this incredible hobby and realizing you've got to spend hundreds, or it's a monthly fee just to get started, or the DJ software you bought is missing a feature you really need and the company wants to charge you an extra 200 or 300 just to get that one feature. I could go on. I probably don't have to. You're probably nodding away. Shouldn't DJing be like picking up a musical instrument? It always used to be. When you played on record decks, you didn't have these problems. I did a DJ set, which I'm going to tell you about a little bit later on, actually, this weekend, where I played on old-fashioned records with old-fashioned DJ gear. It was basic, it was a bit nerve-wracking, but there was none of these issues that DJs are increasingly feeling. Wouldn't it be good if there was a way of DJing with some of the advantages of modern DJing, using digital gear, using laptops and controllers, but that bypasses all the subscriptions, bypasses all the commercial stuff, bypasses what is sometimes called in tech circles as the end-shitification of everything nowadays when it comes to tech and apps and software? As I said, there is, and we're looking at it here, a fully open source DJ system. Mixxx isn't new. This software's been around for a long time. We quite often get asked by our audience, why don't you cover this software more? And the reason really is that a lot of people don't even know what it is. A lot of people are scared by open source. And open source is just a word for free software developed by its users for its users. It's going to be rough around the edges. You're going to need to jump through hoops to make it work. And this puts people off, and that's fine. But we thought we can't ignore it anymore. We've got to have a look for those people who are asking. So that's exactly what we did. So here I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened when we took a laptop and we put on that laptop the Linux operating system, which is not Windows and it's not Mac. We had to do it. This was originally a Windows laptop. It's a Dell XPS 9315, I think it's called. So we found this laptop. We decided to take off Windows and put on this Linux operating system. And then we also decided that we would then put on this Mixxx software. Now, I've got to let you know right now, this software, Mixxx, you don't need to go and do what we did. You can just get it for Mac and Windows. So if you want to play with it, do that. You'll be able to do pretty much everything I show you here, apart from the first bit I tell you about. But we decided to go the whole hog. And we're here to tell the tale. I'll tell you what happened. Now, we have written this up over on Digital DJ Tips. So if you want to head over to the website at some point and head to this page here, the homepage, then the news page, how to DJ open source with Mixxx, no subscriptions, no tie-ins. There is a whole article here explaining exactly what I'm talking to you about now and what we did. So go take a look there. There's a few links through to some of the things you'll need to do this that I'm going to talk about there as well. And also we will add to our Digital DJ Lab product, which is part of our Access All Areas Pass, which gets you access to everything we do here at Digital DJ Tips. We will add a deep dive mini lesson, mini course in there that talks you through this on video with me actually showing you all that stuff. If you want to know about that, djtips.co, djtips.co/AAA. djtips.co/AAA will get you to a page that currently looks like this. It's actually quite a good time because it's currently on offer because we only launched this package a week ago to help us celebrate our 15th birthday. So you can save a lot of money if you buy this in the next day or so. If you're watching this live, then you're lucky because you've still got time to. So djtips.co/AAA, or just go to the main Digital DJ Tips site and click one of the banners, which you'll find at the very top of the page at the moment here to find out about that. But let's go back to where we were then. Let's go back to talking about how to do this. So this is the process that we followed, and this is what you're going to want to do. Just find any old laptop. If you've got a laptop that you don't use anymore, Windows laptops are normally all right. Intel is better. And also, if you're going to use a Mac, it has to be one of the older Intel Macs, not one of the newer ARM processor Macs, because they're the best computers for installing the operating system on that's called Linux. Now, I'm no expert, but it only took me an afternoon to sort all this out. So if you are in any way technically minded, you'll probably find it easier than me. If you struggle with knowing where the files and folders are on your computer, or you haven't got patience, I wouldn't do this, right? So you need to be a little bit technically minded, but I'm not massively technically minded, I don't think anyway. So in order to install a Linux operating system on an old laptop, you need to go to the website of the operating system you want to install and download the operating system. And you need to put it onto a USB drive, not just drag it on, but etch it on. Now there's software to do that. It's all in the article. And it effectively gives you the equivalent of the old, remember you used to get a CD with Windows on it? It's that, it gives you the equivalent of that on a USB drive. We use an operating system called Ubuntu, which is probably the most popular version of Linux. There's lots of versions of Linux out there. There's a website where they talk you through exactly how to do it, which again we've linked to in the article, so you can go find out how to do that. You can download the software you need to do it from here as well. But effectively what you're going to do is get your laptop, you're going to plug in the USB drive, you're going to turn the laptop on, and a bit like when you're updating the firmware on your DJ system, you're going to press a special key. You need to, I think it was F12 on this one, you just keep pressing it and it'll launch into a special window that contains not the goodness you see here, but a very basic looking set of options, one of which will be boot up my computer from the USB drive I've just plugged into it. When you do that, it will launch the Linux system. It will let you play with it, make sure it all works, make sure your keyboard works and your Wi-Fi works and your Bluetooth works and stuff. We couldn't actually get the webcam to work on this laptop, but everything else was fine. Hey, you don't need a webcam for DJing, right? So we went ahead and did it permanently. And that is also something you can do alongside the existing operating system. So if you wanted to do that alongside your Windows, for instance, you could do it. Anyway, totally optional because you can just do this on a Windows or a Mac computer. Once you've got all that installed and running, you're going to install the software itself, which installs pretty much like any other software, slightly different way of doing it on Linux to Mac and Windows. But ultimately, when it's installed, you're good to go and it looks like this. Now you need to, and if you've ever done this on Virtual DJ or Tractor or anything like that, then it won't be something that you find difficult, but you're going to need to go into a preferences window that I've opened here, and you're going to need to select the hardware. And this particular controller was in here, although it's not one of the official ones it supports. There's lots of user mappings in here. You're going to want to select the hardware. So we selected the DDJ Flex 4 on the left-hand side here. And then you're also going to want to go to the sound hardware and select the headphones and main output to tell it that you want to use the audio card that's built into this for the headphones and the main output. And from there on in, it just works. So we have here the DJ controller. You can see the waveforms on the screen. I'm controlling from the controller everything here. The audio is coming out the back here as it should. And ultimately, we've got a fully operational DJ controller here with everything you would expect going on it. They've even just added stems to it recently, or at least a first version of stems. It's got looping, it's got cues, it's got effects, it's got your library, it's got playlists. It's got waveforms and it's got BPM analysis, key analysis, the lot. It's effectively a fully functional piece of DJ software that is working for free. And let me just reiterate what we're talking about here. You're not going to get forced to update the DJ software. You're not going to get forced to update the operating system on the laptop. This laptop, which we've just used specifically for DJing here, right? This laptop here is now the equivalent of this box here. This box here is how we go live at Digital DJ Tips. I just press buttons and it happens. And if you've been watching this for a while, you'll know that I haven't changed that in years. You won't have to change that in years. You never have to do anything with it. You don't have to update anything. You don't have to do anything at all because it's just working now. And all you have to do is get your music, maybe on a USB drive, plug it in, drag it into there. You're good to go. It's as simple or as difficult as you want it to be. Of course you can have auto updates. Of course you can use Linux computers to do other stuff. Of course you can run it alongside Mac and Windows on your normal PC. But the point is, no one's forcing you. And once it works, it's up to you whether you change things that stop it working. No one's going to say, hey, we've just updated the software, you need to update it, and suddenly your controller doesn't work, for instance. No one's going to suddenly introduce a subscription for features that you used to have for free, etc., etc. You're in control, it's open source, it's up to you. And I think to a lot of DJs, that is something that is quite appealing. So that is how to install and use an open source operating system and open source DJ software. We are going to talk more about this on Digital DJ Tips. We're going to have a proper look at the software and a full review of it again, because it's many years since we did that. And we're also going to, as I said a little bit earlier, add a deep dive mini course into our Digital DJ Lab private members program, which is part of our Access All Areas pass, where you get access to everything we do here at Digital DJ Tips. It's kind of our lifetime membership, which at the moment is on offer because it's the launch week as part of our 15th birthday celebrations. You can get everything that we do for a huge saving this week only. So go take a look at Digital DJ Tips website, click the banner at the top to get to Access All Areas, or just go to djtips.co/AAA to learn how you can get all 21 of our courses, all 250 of our mixing and deep dive lessons from Digital DJ Lab, and lifetime membership and tutor support for life. It's a great deal. So we're going to talk to you about this in about 30 seconds time. But before we do, and by the way, let's just say a few early hellos to people who I can see we're very, very busy in the chat room already. So hello to everyone in there, to Mike and to Jack and to, who else have we got in there? To Craig and Ian and to Dermot in Dublin, to Jason, who says cost of living crisis. Well, this is a good way around the cost of living crisis right here. It really is. But anyway, we're going to now just talk about one other thing that I promised I would update you on. So if you were here last week for this show, if you're new to all this, we do this most Tuesdays, pretty much every Tuesday in term time, in school term time. You will know that I was playing a gig, not just any old gig, not even a gig on open source gear that I was testing, or on this kind of gear, which of course most people play gigs on when you're playing a real gig out and about somewhere. No, I was playing a gig at a festival, at a retro music festival, and I decided 6 months ago, when I was chatting to the promoter, to pitch the idea of me playing retro 7-inch singles, 45s, on retro turntables. What a great idea, I thought. Till about a week ago, when I started getting very scared. I thought, why are you playing on battery turntables and a basic mixer in a venue where there's 1,000 people and a huge PA system with bass bins everywhere, on a stage that's all bendy and wooden with plastic decks, where literally, as we found out when I went there and set the gear up, as soon as I turned the gear on, this bass hum feedback started coming from my turntables, and I just thought, oh no. It was a sound check, and luckily that meant we could do something about it. And so we got it all functioning. Right? There was a great audio engineer who isolated the 120 hertz feedback frequency that was causing these cheap old decks to not work, pulled it out, put some dynamic compression on it, fixed it all up, and I was able to play at this festival, to close the festival after all the bands had finished for nearly an hour till the police stopped it. Hey, like the good old days. I had a great time. I have got a couple of photos to share with you, so you'll be able to see what it looked like. So this is... I'll have to explain the photos to you. This photo here is the DJ gear I was using right in the middle of the picture. So let's explain that first. Look at that. I haven't even taken the covers off the decks here yet. These are the little plastic covers. They've got handles at the back. And look at that mixer. The mixer is so basic that you plug the headphones in and the left-hand deck comes out of the left-hand headphone and the right-hand deck comes out of the right-hand headphone. it was so basic. I had to take a second mixer that you can see on the right there just to get the XLRs for the PA system. But apart from that, that's what I DJ'd on. You can see my 7-inch thing was on the left. So this here is the stage just before I took to the stage when the bands had finished. And the bands all came on to have their photo taken with the crowd. And I'd been busy setting up my gear up until that point, which is why they're kind of all having to crowd around my gear. And just 5 minutes later, I was on the decks, and there's me playing on those decks in front of that crowd. And you can see we put the equipment on a camera on the screen behind so everyone could see that it was old-fashioned 7 inches and a very basic mixer. How much did they care? I'm really not sure, but it was a lot of fun to do it. Would I do it again? Yeah, too right I would. It was awesome. And it just kind of brings it all back to basics when you're playing on turntables with no EQ, no gains, no effects, where if you put the needle on the record and there's nothing playing, it starts to feed back with all the bass in the venue. And yeah, it was just full circle for me. I mean, that's how I started in the late 80s, right? So it was lovely to go and do that. So thanks to everyone for coming to that, and also thanks to the organisers for letting me do it. It was a great experience, and we will be covering this a bit more. I'll write it up on the website. So I did say I'd report back to you on that. So I've done that now. Okay, people, let's talk about open source DJing. Let's talk about escaping the man. Let's talk about DJing for free on systems where you're not forced to subscribe, you're not forced to update, and so on. And what are you saying about this? Well, that's what we're going to find out now. So I'm going to start at the top of your comments because I don't want to miss anything about this. This is from Rabbite, who says, Phil, I was a bit late. What program is that? So yeah, if you are a bit late, we're looking at Mixxx, M-I-X-X-X. It's available for Mac, Windows, and for Linux, which is what we're using it on here. And it is a completely open source but fully professional DJ platform that you can get for free and use for free. It's a long, long time since we have been able to cover this, so we're glad to cover this now. I've got an old Pioneer DDJ800, says Dulio Henry, which I can't use with Serato. Can I use it with this? Yes, you can. You can use Mixxx with this. Now let's talk about some of the limitations of this software. It's open source. It's rough around the edges. You will have to jump through hoops. Hint, ChatGPT is your friend here, because ChatGPT can talk you through all the things that you might have to do as far as the settings go and so on, especially if you're trying to use something like a Linux operating system instead of Mac or Windows. So it's going to take some setting up. It's better with basic DJ controllers like this one here. The reason for that is that, as far as I can tell, and I'm 99% sure I'm right on this, you know, if your DJ controllers have got screens on and stuff, you can certainly get it to work, but you can't get the stuff on the screens. So the experience is going to be a lot less fun than if you have just got something basic like this, because something like this, you can get everything to work. But on a DJ controller with like jog wheel screens or screens above and stuff, you won't get all that to work. But having said that, one of the really, really cool use cases of this software is when you're using it with DVS, because it has the ability to work with external timecode vinyl. And that means that you can use it with turntables like this, any old mixer. So for instance, if I was going to go back to the old school, like I did on those pictures I just showed you, I could use a mixer like this. You just need an audio interface. So you just need any audio interface that's designed to work with mixers like this and let them work with DJ software. This is a Reloop Flux, which is probably the only current one in production actually. But plug this and your turntables together. So in other words, a really old-fashioned DJ setup just with this little piece of extra hardware, and plug that via a USB cable into the Mixxx software and use any DVS vinyl at all. This is the record box stuff. This is the special control vinyl that goes on the turntables to control the software. But you could use Serato or Traktor control vinyl. I don't know if Virtual DJ has some. I think DJ Pro does. Certainly the big names, it all works fine. So that means that you can use any old turntables, any old mixer, a simple audio interface that's got the connections to plug both the mixer and the turntables into, and this software. And now you can DJ to your heart's content on classic turntables and a classic mixer with classic vinyl and software, and it's never going to break, it's never going to need updating, nothing's ever going to change unless you choose to change it. which is cool. Now, one thing this doesn't have is streaming services built in. You're not going to be plugging into those on this. But one thing it does have is access to your Rekordbox and Serato libraries. So you could even DJ from the same library from within here. And apparently you can export from here to Engine. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, but just the fact that all these things are being added is showing you that this is pro software. You're not paying for it, but it's got features that you'd never get on free versions of commercial software because they're deliberately clawed back. Whereas here, the community that make this software are trying their hardest to add new features all the time and make it better for all of them, and you if you choose to go for it. I do like it. I do see it's not for everyone. And one thing I want to be clear about is we're not having a dig at all the big software companies, the 4 or 5 of them. I'm sure you can name them yourself. All we're saying is a lot of people aren't happy with what they're being offered in the DJ world. And if they feel trapped, if they feel that they are being let down by the companies who make the hardware they use, for instance, there is a way out. There is an alternative. There is something you can do which is different and which will escape some of the things that are upsetting some members of our community. And as I said at the beginning, some people really do feel DJing is becoming too commercialized. It's becoming too reliant on other companies giving you the tools to just do the basics, just be able to play your music. You don't need to go down that route anymore. You never did, but maybe now's the time to get back on that and show people that there is an alternative. So what else are you talking about? Phil, why don't you go on a retro tour for the rest of the year? You know what? We've got a camper van. It's why the studio closes down in summer, because my kids are off school. So we close the studio and we head off for the school holidays, doing other stuff. I could just throw the decks into the back of the van, couldn't I? And we could play wherever we end up. It's worth thinking about. Gumner says, a tip sound-wise. Oh, this is about playing at festivals. Thank you for this. Yeah, an Aphex Aural Exciter in my processor chain. Definitely, it does make a huge difference. This is all good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. So, Mike, what is the spec for Mixxx? This is another good thing. Now, I don't know exactly. I can't tell you exactly for sure. Mixxx will run on PCs that other DJ software won't run on. You can use it on old computers, basically, and it will still work. So that means that you can breathe life into an old laptop you might have knocking around by going down this route. You can certainly check on their website, Mike, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised there. What else have we got about these particular topics? I'm not going to touch on the stuff you're talking about, and there's lots of stuff going on in the chat about other topics. Hello, everyone, by the way, especially on Twitch, including you. Kings and Queens Entertainment. Good to see you here, over there on Twitch. But anyway, look, I'm not going to talk about the other things that you're talking about. We're going to stick to topic today. You can come back for one of our Thursday shows, or if you're in our Access All Areas package, you will be able to talk to me about this in our Student Hub, Student Live sessions where we answer all your questions. But you know that anyway. Let's now just stick to topic here. This is from Stephen, who says, I'm using the XDJ Aero. Yeah, I remember that unit. I'm using it as a mixer. Can I use Flux with it with 2 turntables? I don't remember what the inputs are on your XDJ Aero, but if it's got 2 external inputs for the mixer, like that I've got, like on the back, so let's go to the back of this one. Oh, it's out of focus. I'll focus on this so you can see. So this one, for instance, you couldn't do that on because it's not got external inputs here to plug turntables in, right? So on the audio interface, you could plug your turntables in, but when you've got to plug in these to the mixer, there's nothing to plug them to, right? Big gear like this, obviously you can plug decks in, and bigger DJ controllers you can as well. So if your XDJ Aero on it, and it's such an old unit, I can't remember what's on the back of it, I suspect it won't do it. Unless it's got external inputs where you could plug turntables in just to play music or CDJs, then you couldn't follow that route, unfortunately. Ralph. Was it Ralph? No, it wasn't Ralph, it was Stephen. Ralph said, I've been using Mixxx with my old DDJ SB2 for about 3 years now. It does indeed do playlists I can export to Engine and to Pioneer. Cool. So you can DJ on it at home or whatever, but if you want to go and play on this kind of gear, or indeed on this kind of gear, this being an Engine DJ unit, one of our favourites, then indeed you can, which is cool to know, right? So thank you for sharing that. What else have we got then that you're talking about before I'm out here for today? I do hope you found this useful, by the way. It's certainly a nice new topic to talk about. Are the student sessions still only on Facebook, says Sergeant G? Yes and no. Yes, they are only on Facebook Live. However, we then edit them and put them into the Digital DJ Tips podcast, which is available to everyone. And the replays are also available inside our platform. And so if you're a Digital DJ Tips subscriber or a Access All Areas owner, then you can get to not only the recent ones, but going back like 10 years in there. Our podcast, by the way, if you don't know about it, is it's quite an established part of what we do. It is the Digital DJ Tips podcast. Funny that. And we have two types of podcasts. We have the inside track version where we talk about 3 big burning topics in the world of DJing that particular month. And we have the Your Questions version, which is the one you were just talking about, where we take questions from our students, answer them, and the best ones get edited and put onto the podcast. The podcast is on YouTube, but it's also, of course, on wherever you get your podcasts from. Right. We've been talking today about open source DJing. We've been talking about something we did this weekend just gone. We installed Mixxx open source software. We installed it on a laptop, which we had put a Linux operating system on. Both of those things are open source. Both of those things are free. This will never cost us anything now, this laptop to use, and the software on it will never cost us anything to use either. We then got it working with a very popular basic DJ controller, the DDJ Flex 4, and we also experimented with it using record decks and an audio interface with DVS, and we can confirm it works with that as well. It's another way of DJing that doesn't tie you into subscriptions, doesn't tie you into hardware, doesn't tie you into any limitations or any changes in the future that you're not happy about. You're in charge. And we think it's quite a cool alternative for those people for whom those things are important. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Meanwhile, from me, Phil, here in the studio, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.